Tonight on Cronkite News, strikes are popping up across the country, including right here in the Valley. Why workers are unhappy.
Plus, remembering Mahsa Amini 1 year later, the impact of her death in Iran, and how her story was celebrated right here in Arizona.
And Arizona State held its own against Fresno State on Saturday, what they managed to get done with very limited offense. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Tabitha Bland.
And I'm Jacob Luthi. Thank you for joining us.
Workers across America and locally are making their voices heard, with some organizations going on strike. Reporter Sydney Whitty is in our newsroom and tells us about the different groups and the reason they're hitting the picket line. Sydney?
From actors to auto workers, thousands of people have hit the picket lines demanding better work conditions. This comes as the Emmy Awards were scheduled to air tonight, but are postponed due to the SAG-AFTRA strike. But those in the entertainment industry aren't the only ones demanding change here in Arizona and across the country. This weekend, members of the SAG-AFTRA Arizona-Utah chapter rallied to bring attention to a number of demands. They're asking for increased benefits, prohibition of AI content, and protections against exploitation. The local unions are also impacted by the negotiations with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, or AMPTP.
We are looking forward to the AMPTP coming back to the table so we can get a fair and equitable contract that is supporting all actors and all creatives and protects against unfair AI use and really brings us up to speed and up to relevance in 2023.
According to Melby, the local economy is also affected by the strike, and a Phoenix talent agent agrees. She says the state tax incentive that went into effect earlier this year to bring more film work was expected to bring more money for the industry.
It affects not just, like I said, the actors and the writers, but the directors, the crew, camera, lighting, makeup, hair, the local hotels, cars, everything. This affects all of Arizona.
This comes on the fourth day of the United Auto Workers strike across the country. Their demands include contract changes, pension plans, and pay raises. One United Auto Worker says the current pay is not cutting it.
New generation of workers aren't making a fair wage. They can barely make it. They deserve a living wage, and they need to be brought up to what we make.
U.S. Representative Hakeem Jeffries believes the bar needs to be raised for workers across America.
Cause is just. Lifting up the great American middle class dream for these auto workers and future generations of UAW workers is a critical fight. And it will also raise the bar for workers all across America.
And tomorrow, back in Arizona, airport service workers, including pilots, cabin cleaners, and flight attendants, will gather for a rally at Sky Harbor, demanding fair wages, affordable health care, and more. The rally will take place at the 44th Street SkyTrain station. Now, this is not the first time airport workers have rallied for better working conditions. Tuesday's rally is an escalation of demand and a part of a national day of action across the country at busy airports. And we have just learned that the Writers Guild of America is expected to resume talks with major Hollywood studios on Wednesday. In the newsroom, Sydney Whitty, Cronkite News. Jacob?
Thanks, Sydney. People who live in several communities in the northeastern part of the state have been told to prepare for evacuation due to a wildfire. The Valentine fire is burning east of Payson, and so far it's scorched nearly 4,000 acres. Locals who live in Gordon Canyon, 13 Ranch, and the Cove have been placed under set status by officials. That means residents should make sure they have an emergency kit on hand and that they should evacuate if given the go order by officials. The fire is believed to have been started by lightning.
Back here in the Valley, the 2023 monsoon could be one of the driest we've ever seen.
Our Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez has been looking at the numbers, and she joins us now with more.
The monsoon officially runs from June 15th through September 30th, and it's not just here in Arizona. It stretches from parts of California, Nevada, New Mexico, and parts of Texas. Last year's monsoon was very active. In fact, the National Weather Service says it was the 9th wettest on record, which is impressive because records go all the way back to the late 1800s. Now let's focus on Phoenix. The average rainfall during the monsoon is 2.56 inches. Last year, we were just below that, with 2.3 inches of rain. But we haven't even reached half that amount this season. So far, this season, we've only seen 0.15 of an inch of rain during the entire monsoon. That breaks the record for the driest, dating all the way back to 1924. And forecasters say it's going to be dry for the rest of the month, which means the 2023 monsoon will be officially the driest ever. And Alex Young from the National Weather Service in Phoenix says the future monsoons could be even drier.
We see with the changing climate that temperatures are increasing. And so, something like what happened this summer temperature-wise might become a more likely occurrence in the future to happen. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen like this again, but the likelihood might increase as we move forward into the future, especially looking, 10, 20, 30, 50 years down the road.
Young also tells us that we went into this monsoon out of drought conditions because of all the rain we had in the winter and spring. But he does expect drought conditions to crop up again because of the dry monsoon. And coming up in just a few minutes, I'll have our immediate forecast. Find out how hot it's going to get over the next few days. In the newsroom, I'm Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Adriana. Now, the one-year anniversary of the death of a young Iranian woman caused worldwide protests. Cronkite News reporter Roxanne De La Rosa tells us how Iranians in Arizona are coming together, asking for change.
Mahsa Amini died in the custody of Iran's morality police. She was 22 years old. The Arizona Iranian community remembers her death and shared their experiences under the Iranian government. Nazanin Mirzai, a local artist, says she lived the first 23 years in Iran.
I was always scared to go out just because, I wanted to live free as a young woman. I just wanted to have fun.
Mahsa Amini died after being arrested by the morality police for not wearing her hijab properly. Iranians in Arizona say her death represents the violence that women face every day.
Enough is enough. We want to be free. We want to be able to live however we want to live.
On Saturday, the Arizona Persian Cultural Center in Scottsdale hosted a memorial to honor Amini's memory. Kian Rejain says Iranians face xenophobia and racism in the United States.
But I feel like, for one, what I would really like to see is to see Iranian people see us for our culture and for who we are, and not for what our government does.
According to the latest report by Worldometer, there are more than 8,000 Iranians in Arizona. Regian calls for awareness about the issues in Iran.
I would just like to see people be more educated about it. I feel like a lot of people don't really even understand what's going on in Iran. They're not super educated on what's going on. They hear Iran and they just think oh, terrorism or something.
After Amini's death, the U.S. House approved measures targeting Iran for its human rights record and placing restrictions on the country's ability to import or export its expanding arsenal of weapons. Mirzai says she is happy to live in the U.S.
But I feel so bad for my friends, loved ones, and families who's still living back home or back in Iran, that they have to deal with a lot of nonsense stuff that I don't have to deal with them anymore. So I want them to live free like me, I want them to enjoy their life like me.
Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs declared September 16th Woman Life Freedom Day in honor of Mahsa Amini. In the newsroom, Roxanne De La Rosa, Cronkite News.
Coming up next, Tropical Storm Lee made landfall on the East Coast.
The destruction the storm left behind and the new formation in the southeast that has forecasters worried another storm is on the way.
We tell ourselves stories as a nation.
These stories need to be highlighted, they need to be explored.
We're the dreamers. How serious is America's commitment to looking at its history? How can we learn from the past?
Douglas said, "You're going to look me in the eye and see my humanity."
Hold your head
It's illuminating. I'm seeing the expansiveness of my history.
It's pretty great.
There's so much richness to Black life and Black culture.
I think the story of Muslims in America is the story of America.
Tonight, they are free.
I cannot imagine how excited he must have been.
It's a wonderful feeling. This is why we do this.
It makes me even more committed to struggling for a better world.
Here at the TV Production and Graphics Lab, we are behind the scenes making the news happen. Gain experience in the control room directing, teledirecting, and rolling the audio of every Cronkite News show. Run the floor and work in a professional environment, honing your skills for the future. Create graphics that will be seen by the local community on Arizona PBS. Be a part of the bloodline that makes the Cronkite News shows possible.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
And entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Welcome back. President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, is suing the IRS.
He claims the organization violated his right to privacy when two agents openly discussed his tax information.
In the lawsuit, Biden claims his tax information was discussed during congressional hearings. He claims the IRS agent in question were looking to embarrass him. The lawyers for one of the agents says this is not true. This lawsuit comes just days after the president's son was indicted on federal gun charges. Prosecutors say there are also additional tax charges pending against Hunter Biden, but those have yet to be filed.
5 Americans imprisoned in Iran are headed home after U.S. officials negotiated their release. In exchange, the U.S. will unfreeze nearly $6 billion in oil revenue restricted by U.S. sanctions. The newly freed Americans arrived in Qatar before getting on a plane headed back to the United States. As part of this deal, the U.S. will release 5 Iran nationals in their custody. Reportedly, White House officials had held behind-the-scene negotiations dating back as far as February. Republican leaders say the deal amounts were a ransomware payment. The Secretary of State says the newly freed funds will still be monitored and may only be used for food, medicine, and other humanitarian purposes.
Post-tropical cyclone Lee is now headed back to the Atlantic.
This comes after Lee made its final landfall near the upper East Coast over the weekend. This is some of the damage the storm left behind in Maine. Winds topped out at more than 80 miles per hour. The storm also left its marks in parts of Nova Scotia. The storm peaked as a Category 5 hurricane, but never hit land at that level. At least 2 deaths are attributed to the conditions related to the storm. And looking ahead, the National Weather Service is tracking a tropical storm that could turn into a hurricane. Even with Hurricane Lee hitting the East Coast, Arizona probably won't see much rain this week.
Our Adriana Gonzalez Chavez is back with this week's forecast, bringing some lower temperatures to the State 48.
Evening, folks. We're sitting about 95 degrees right now and nothing but clear skies for your evening with 88 degrees by 10 p.m. tonight. And then looking into our futurecast, across the state, we have nothing but clear skies, no chances of rain for any part of the state. But looking at our low temperatures tomorrow, Phoenix will be hitting a low of 75 degrees, Lake Havasu a low of 77, while in the north part of the state, it's time to bring out your jackets because it's going to get chilly. Grand Canyon will be hitting a low of 37 degrees, Flagstaff a low of 40 degrees. And then looking into our high temperatures, Phoenix will be the hottest across the state, hitting 100 degrees. The rest of the southwest region will be close, but not quite there. Gila Bend, high of 99. Casa Grande, a high of 97, with Grand Canyon hitting a high of 77, and Flagstaff hitting a high of 75 degrees. And then looking at our 8-day forecast, Tuesday, clear skies. Wednesday, expected to be cloudy with a high of 98. Thursday, we clear right back up, but some good news for Friday and Saturday. Cloudy expected, with both of those days hitting a high of 93 degrees. Sunday through Tuesday, it gets a little bit warmer, with Tuesday a chance of clouds and a high of 101 degrees. I'm Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez from the Cronkite Weather Center.
I'm Sam Stern. Coming up next, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. We'll have a look at the Cardinals' home opener. Plus, a look at the hottest new water sport in LA, where the goal is to not make a splash.
And that's the way it is. Monday, September.
Newscasting has changed a lot since the time of Walter Cronkite. That's why here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, you can learn the studio production skills of today in real time. Whether you want to work audio, direct, technical direct, design graphics, or you can even run the floor. It's all part of the Television Production and Graphics Lab here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. We're going on in 3, 2...
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Sam Stern. For Jonathan Gannon, the struggles at State Farm Stadium continue. You might recall, as defensive coordinator for the Eagles, his team had a second-half collapse to lose the Super Bowl last February. And now as head coach for the Cardinals, his team had a giant collapse against New York to lose their home opener. The struggles for Sun Devil football continue to pile up, and they were all on display in a disappointing shutout at Mountain America Stadium. From the start of the game, injuries and turnovers plagued the Sun Devils. Fresno State pounced from the start, taking a 16-0 lead after one half. 8 Sun Devil turnovers fed the Fresno State offense as the Bulldogs would take down ASU 29-0. Now, all eyes were on a deteriorating quarterback room that was already without Jaden Rashada. And now, both could be without Drew Pine and Trenton Bourget as well.
We still don't know on those two exactly where they stand. The results were better than what they could have been, but we got to see how they go out this week and roll. I think Jacob did a nice job coming in for getting no reps and just executing. I mean, his interceptions, one of them was he'd like to have back, and another one was just him forcing the ball in a game where we didn't get anything going. So I got a lot of faith in Jacob if he takes the field.
A familiar face to ASU fans made a move from Tempe to Scottsdale earlier this year. While he still remains on the gridiron, he now takes over as head coach for one of the top high school football programs in the state. ASU's former offensive coordinator Zach Hill left the Sun Devil program in 2022 amidst NCAA investigation regarding alleged recruiting violations. Hill decided it was time for something new and made the transition to head coach for perennial power Saguaro High School. The SaberCats won 7 state titles under previous coach Jason Mons, and Hill is looking to keep that championship culture alive and well.
There's just so many valuable life lessons that they learn through football and are so impressionable at this age. There's just a lot of value to coaching and being a part of this high school. We're getting to know each other, and they know me a lot better, and you know, we always go back to our core values and what we stand for, and it's been an easy transition.
Water sports are very popular around the coast of California, but this water sport is more relaxing than some. Cronkite sports reporter Michaela Nagel from our LA bureau tagged along with an organization to see how they're bringing in a new wave of fitness.
At Mother's Beach in Marina del Rey, California, there are many recreational sports for people who just want to get out onto the water. But one in particular that many find unique and relaxing is paddleboard yoga. Owner and founder of Yoga Aqua, Saren Tiefenthaler, started this company 12 years ago as a passion project, and it has been growing ever since.
It is my job, but it doesn't feel like work. I love it so much. It's fulfilling for me, and to provide this experience to people every week and see their joy.
Each class is usually around 90 minutes long. The first 30 minutes are dedicated strictly for paddleboarding around the harbor, so students are able to find their balance. In addition, each board has an anchor that drops down for students so they won't drift during the session. Many students repeatedly attend the classes not only for their physical health, but mental health as well.
It just feels really good to be out on the water and not have to worry or be stressing about anything in that moment.
The growth of paddleboard yoga has steadily increased since the introduction of the inflatable paddleboard in the mid-2000s. And Yoga Aqua has grown as well thanks to the loyalty of their yogis and their committed instructors.
It's just such a gift to be able to hold space for people, to step outside of their comfort zone, and to show people how much we're capable of.
Tiefenthaler started this company with an idea and a board, hoping to help others step out of their comfort zone and instead step onto a mat in the water. In Los Angeles, California, Michaela Nagel, Cronkite News.
The Diamondbacks took care of business against the Cubs this weekend. Not only did they sweep the Cubbies, but they leapfrogged them in the wild card standings. The Snakes now sit squarely in second wild card spot. The Cubs have been bumped to the third spot in a slim game lead over Chicago. They host the Giants in a 2-game set starting tonight, with San Francisco sitting 2.5 games back of the Diamondbacks. Arizona has a chance to put the nail in the Giants' coffin with a sweep in the series. And finally, the WNBA had its most watched season in 21 years and its highest attendance average since 2018. The Phoenix Mercury were one of the most watched teams, finishing second in average attendance with just over 9,000 fans per game. That's it for your Cronkite Sports Report. Jacob and Tabitha, back to you.
Coming up next, one woman's accomplishment several years in the making.
We'll have the project's magical theme when we come back.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
Against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
And entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
This is CN to Go. I'm Emily Olson with your Wednesday news briefing.
Do you want to create innovative content for Cronkite News? Do you enjoy listening to podcasts? Then CN to Go is for you. Cronkite News to Go is a podcast where students cover the latest headlines. Students become audio producers and hosts and will learn how to write, record, and edit stories. You can listen to the latest episodes on these platforms. Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
Welcome back. The last thing before we go tonight, one Texas woman finishing a journey more than 3 years in the making.
A puzzle, one that consisted of thousands of pieces. She just completed this 40,000 piece puzzle. The puzzle is more than 20 feet wide and 6 feet tall, and it features prominent scenes from several Disney movies, including The Lion King. Emily says it took her more than 3 years to complete the puzzle. Next up for Emily, a 42,000 piece puzzle called Around the World.
That's it for Cronkite News. Thanks for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.